The NBA is officially starting its season in more or less a week, give or take, depending on which team you're rooting for. But either way, I'm so hyped. So in this video, I'm just giving a little bit of origin story and also just quick update on the news and talk about why I love basketball overall, just in general. Let's talk about it. Hey, yo, it's your boy Eyeso Plays. Quick YouTube shit. Like and subscribe. Let's get back to the video. I am so excited. We're over here. We've just been basically nippling off the teat of the Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving drama. And I'm sure so many of us are sour to that milk at this point. I'm going to have some shit to talk about that later. But either way, I'm just excited for some real, actual on-the-court shit to happen. Because, yeah, we had the preseason. We have all this other alleged shit. But it's so exciting to see actually what's going on. And so I am so hyped. So real quick, I'll talk about a little bit, some more of the preseason shit I've seen that makes me super excited for this season. So I've already talked about them before, but I'm going to rave even more about them. The Houston Rockets. Man, they are straight up my favorite up-and-coming team. And I know I'm a Nuggets fan. They're who I'm rooting for. But that's all right. I can root for the Rockets because I know they ain't even making the playoffs. They're lucky if they win 30 games. But it doesn't matter. They have so many young, great players that can develop. Maybe they trade some of them. Maybe some of them don't pan out. It doesn't matter. We're going to see multiple nights of dudes lighting it up, 40-plus points, hitting some crazy scoring averages. Maybe some records are broken as rookies. Who knows? Either way, they're just going to be such an exciting team. Whether it comes to Jalen Green, my pick for Rookie of the Year, or Josh Christopher, who honestly, I'm not saying he's going to be the best rookie out of this draft, but I said it before in a video, but I got to reiterate it. He's probably my favorite rookie. Just as a guy who's hyper athletic, like has Westbrook kind of, leaping ability. But it seems, at least from what I've seen in preseason, and again, it's preseason, but it seems like he's trying to work on his shot. So maybe it doesn't develop this year, maybe not even next year, but in his third year, dude, if he can be at least decent three-point to mid-range shooter and still have that athleticism, he's going to have a very long and great career in the NBA. And that's something I'm super excited for. Another thing I'm super excited for, and real quick, let me touch back. So the whole topic of this video is about the reason why I love the NBA. And this isn't just this season in particular, it's just overall. And so a huge thing that I love in the NBA is redemption arcs. And that's something that, of course, starts early on in the season. It can happen later on, but a lot of it comes back to whether a player failed late in the regular season or in the playoffs, or just a player who had high expectations and they didn't deliver to what the general standard was. And one of those players was Tyler Hero. And he was a guy who I feel he was almost destined for this to happen. When he balled out in the bubble, it's already such a weird thing. Like, it's so hard to attribute how much of this is real, how much is this in this weird, awkward situation. And he's a rookie. He had 38 points in the semifinals, just balling out, being a great player. A lot of people thought he was going to end up being, one of the top 3 or 5 players in his draft class. Sophomore year comes around. He had a whole song named after him, after Jack Harlow. Fucking bop, by the way. Definitely check it out if you haven't, regardless of how you feel about him. Great song. Fuck with Jack Harlow. Anyways, it kind of seemed like he started having ego. Like, he had a song named after him. He's dating an Instagram model. And his game just didn't reflect. He didn't have great efficiency. Of course, he was never a good defender, but that got exposed. He had a lot of turnovers. Like, he just, let's be real, had a disappointing sophomore season. But also, to be fair, and I feel like this is the thing a lot of people forget, last season was a weird anomaly for any team that went deep in the postseason, in the sense that no one expected the NBA to restart their season as early as they did. So teams that went deep in the playoffs, let alone, the finals like the Heat did, they had less than 2 months of rest. So imagine less than 2 months of rest You're a fucking rookie who had a song named after you. You're dating an Instagram model. Like, you're fucking partying up. You're living the best life. And this is not me to make an excuse for him, but like, I'm just trying to understand that perspective. You're probably not going to be training to the best of your capability, and then the season starts abruptly, unannounced, minimal training. Yeah, you're going to struggle, which he definitely did. There was a time when James Harden, was still with the Rockets, and they were pondering like, oh, is he going to go to the Heat? And Tyler Hero, because he was struggling so much, kind of killed it for the Heat. Like, if he had still been playing as playoff Tyler Hero, maybe James Harden went to the Heat. But unfortunately, at the time, he wasn't. But again, I'm not trying to criticize him crazy heavy, because he's still just a young guy. He's getting used to this fame. He's going to be blinded by the lights to a degree. But it seems he's way more focused. And again, I'll preface it, it's the preseason. It doesn't matter as much. You're not playing your starters as much. And even if they are playing, they're not playing their heart out as they are in the regular season. But he seems like he's on a revenge season. It seems like he's trying to prove people wrong. And that's something that I love about the NBA so much, is seeing these redemption arcs of these players who were hated on, they were doubted on. Another player on this, Dennis Schroeder, someone who I've been keeping an eye on the Celtics during the preseason. And again, it's preseason, but everyone's been making these memes, and I've even made the jokes talking about how he fumbled the bag. Well, now he's on the Celtics on a relatively very small contract, and he's playing his heart out. He's getting blocks at the rim. He's getting steals. He's getting assists. He's scoring buckets. Yo, as long as he doesn't outplay what his necessarily role is, I think he's going to show people he's probably not worth the $25 million or $20 million that he thought he was. He's definitely worth at least $15 million a year, without a doubt. And that's something I am just so excited to see. The next reason why I'm so excited for this season to start is so we can get fucking beyond this Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving drama. And I say and because, of course, they have different situations going on, but I'm just over it. And I know I've made multiple topics on them. And hell, I hate my last topic. It's a little dated, and I'm going to give you all an update now. But still, it's just something I'm tired of it talking about. I really don't want it to be another video until either or both of these motherfuckers are traded. Because it's such a toxic, just annoying thing. Like, yeah, it was fun for a while, especially when we were in the lull of the NBA, and there wasn't much to talk about. But at this point, it's just tired and just overblown. And so first off, I'm just going to briefly mention both of these because, again, I made a whole video practically about both of them before, and I'm just over it. So first off, Ben Simmons. It was already reported that his agent was talking with the team about Ben Simmons joining the team. All right, that seems positive. Like, at least they're reaching an agreement, something that can get the ball rolling. Because clearly nothing's happening now, just by him sitting out. I will say, I give props to the 76ers, and you can go back to my previous videos and see, I told them, call his bluff, hold out, and that's exactly what they did, and it paid off. He lost basically just about over $1 million, and he fucking caved. And so my theory, real quick, crazy conspiracy theory, I think what happened was he sat out, and his agent was like, yeah, you're doing great. But he's like, wait, Ben, I haven't got my paycheck yet for this month. And he was like, oh, yeah. That's going to come through once I get my next contract. They're not paying me right now, so I can't pay you. And he was like, hold up. Maybe you should show up to practice, man. Like, maybe this wasn't the best idea I came up with. Because all I'm saying is it seems like they were talking how they were willing to lose money and do all this, but he just lost $1 million. And I say just $1 million, but for the contract he had, that's so small. And so it's so funny to me how they folded that quickly. So props to the 76ers that they called him out that like, yeah, you're the first player to forego his salary to try to hold out for a trade, but you ain't going to do that for the whole season. Bitch, you didn't even make it to the start of the season. When he started losing preseason money, that motherfucker folded. But here's the thing I don't fuck with. He was a bitch, and he just showed up to the training camp, and his agent or his people, whatever, texted him and was like, hey, Ben's here. He needs his test. Is anyone there? And it's like, no. You don't get to fucking just ghost your whole team. They try to meet you up in the offseason. You tell them, don't bother. I ain't trying to be there. Ben Simmons, I'm the fucking GOAT. Joel Embiid's holding me back. This team doesn't fit. And then just show up. Like, nah. You need to at least address some shit and be like, hey, I was hurt by the shit y'all said. I got in my field. I don't care. I don't care what it is. You need to at least address your team or the GM or somebody. You don't get to just be like, oh, I lost $1 million. Okay, I'm here. Fill me in, homie. Like, nah. You said too much disrespectful shit to just slide in. You gotta talk to some peoples. And so, yeah, he did what he needed to do for his legal purposes, but he's still a bitch. And I will say, I hope Philly boos him every home game. I don't care if he fucking puts up a 50-point triple-double. Boo his bitch ass. You don't get to act like a hoe like that and just show up like everything's dandy. And granted, I do want to move. I do want the situation over because, again, like I said, I'm tired of talking about it. But at the same time, Ben Simmons did such a bitch move. It's annoying. Now, back to the Kyrie shit. And I don't want to dwell on this too much because this could go on for fucking ever. Just an update. He decided he wasn't going to play. The Nets came out and said, well, if he's not going to get vaccinated, we don't even want him in the away games or practice. He's just not going to be with the team. He went on a whole live stream saying how he's advocating for the people who are losing their jobs to the mandate. Again, I don't want to go into the whole vaccine thing. You can have your whole opinion. I just feel it's very contradictory. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me because it seems like he's trying to say he's still pro-vaccine, but he's not getting it to support the people who are losing their jobs. But again, why couldn't you just accept it, make that extra $19 million, donate? Like, I'm not over here trying to direct or tell Kyrie what he should do. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And so either he's a liar and it's stupid, or he's just stupid and it's stupid. Either way, I'm not a big fan of it. I saw this coming a million miles away. Kyrie, it doesn't matter what team he's on. If there's some controversial thing going on in the world, Kyrie's going to act this way. And I know that seems like I'm being very, reductive and dismissive of him. But I'm sorry, his track record just proves it. Like, his whole goal is just to be the contrarian, the guy to provide that opposite thought. Like, I would argue if most of the league was anti-vaccine, he'd be the first guy to fucking get it. And be like, I don't know why you all not doing it. Like, I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Like, if you don't want to get the vaccine and it's your own choice, fine. That's your own stupid choice, in my opinion. But I can at least understand that. But for him to be like, oh, I'm, voicing the voiceless and I'm representing the people who are losing their jobs to the vaccine, but I still think it's good and, safe and healthy for people. Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And then also, let me reference back to when he was first asked about everything and it was going on, and it's clear he wasn't vaccinated. He said, respect my privacy. I don't want to be a distraction for the team. But now he's coming out and he's like, I want to be a voice for the voiceless. Motherfucker, which is it? Do you want to be a voice for the voiceless, or do you not want to be a distraction? I'm sorry, you can't be both. You could be the voice for the voiceless. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't, or you shouldn't use your platform to raise awareness for whatever you believe in. I'm never going to deny that from a man who has that. But for you to try to say you want to be an NBA player, but then you want to actively do things that prevent you from doing it, that just doesn't make much sense to me. Like, if you want to be an activist and support and do all that, fine. Fucking retire. Or if you want to be a part of this and then raise awareness through that platform, you can. Because that's the thing I think he fails to realize. Is like, yeah, he's getting all this attention now and he's raising this awareness. But as the season drags on, he's not playing for the fucking team that's going for a championship. Yeah, they might bring him up, especially if there's lulls and shit and they want to bring drama. But the whole point he's trying to make isn't going to be growth or raised by anything he's doing right now. So to be honest, it just seems like a weird excuse. Like, if you're anti-vaccine, I think that's dumb, but fine. But if you're trying to say you're raising voice for the awareness, either A, you're lying to cover for your own weird flat earther ignorancies that you're trying to cover up, or you just make no sense. And that's really where I'm at the point with Kyrie. And so what, again, all this drove back to is, yeah, this was great for content when it was dull, but I'm so excited for real NBA shit. Let's stop talking about these bitch-ass players who are making excuses for why they're not playing or why they're not playing up to the capability. I want to see the motherfuckers that are doing some shit. Let me bring y'all back. I'm going to let y'all know what made me fall in love with the NBA. So, I'm a youngin'. I'm like, 11, 12 years old. And I'm a weird, socially awkward, been through a bunch of fucking bullshit. I'm overweight. I don't know what's going on in the world. I just know I'm not happy. I go to my first Nuggets game. I'm like, and I don't know the exact age. I'm 11 or 12. And it's the Nuggets versus the Grizzlies. This was before we had Allen Iverson, but of course we had Melo. And even though Melo's so hated now, Melo was my fucking idol as a kid. I go to this game. Melo drops like 30 plus points. It's a fucking close-ass game. Nuggets still lose. I believe it was to the Grizzlies. But that's when I just fell in love with the league. I just got to see this player play at such an elite level. And here's the thing that really made me fall in love with the league and just basketball in general is I got to see, and I feel bad because I don't remember his name. I want to say Ty Lawson might have been on the team at the time. Maybe it was a little bit later. But it was so fantastic to see. There was some short guy under 6 foot. And at the time, like, I had no idea I was going to grow to be above 6 foot or anything. I'm just a fucking young-ass kid, hella overweight and everything. But I just see this just young-ass guy leading our starting lineup, making these crazy passes, leading into everything. And I don't know, it just really inspired me in the fact that, like, hey, I don't have to have this crazy physical frame. And that's what really got me into basketball initially. And then I had my Uncle David, rest in peace. He's the guy who I adopted the name Des. Check out hip-hop shit anyways. Dreams eventually succeed. And he got to show me, and this is what I love about basketball so much, is the fact it's one of those rare sports that, of course, it's fantastic to play, competitively full-on 5-on-5. But it's one of those games that you can play in any degree. You could play 4-on-4, 3-on-3, 2-on-2, 1-on-1. Hell, you could just shoot by yourself, make your own games. And, of course, in any sport, you have different degrees that you can do that. But I feel basketball, it's one of those that you can have the purest sense. Like, yeah, just shooting around yourself is limited. You can add your own limitations and challenges. But even 1-on-1, it's probably the closest to the actual game as you're going to get compared to any other sport. Or hell, even, 2-on-2. You're adding in those play calls and everything. Like, let's be real. Whether it's football, baseball, any of those other sports, there's a certain position that, like, matters the most. I'd argue in basketball, every single position, you've had a championship team where a different player at a certain position was the MVP or, like, the clear leader of the team. Whether you have a point guard like it's Steph Curry or Magic Johnson, or a shooting guard like Michael Jordan or Kobe, or the myriad of small forwards like LeBron, if you call him a small forward, Kevin Durant, et cetera, et cetera. Power forwards, you got Larry Bird, who also could be a small forward. You got Tim Duncan, debatably the best power forward ever. And then you got the centers like Shaq, Wilt, Kareem, Bill Russell. Like, I don't know. It's just one of the most diverse kind of sports where, like, it doesn't matter really your body type. Like, of course, having a bigger strength or better height helps you. But then you also got players like Allen Iverson, who's known as pound for pound the best player ever, who was like, 5'11", and still dominating motherfuckers, hitting floaters over Shaq, beating him in the finals, even if it was just one game. And that's what really made me fall in love with NBA, was that, yeah, you have to work at it, but it doesn't matter your body type. It doesn't matter your height. If you have the will and the mental intelligence, you could fucking make it to the NBA. Which brings me to the other reason why I love the NBA, which is the mental side, which I feel is so underrated. Which goes back to, and I feel like I've brought this up before, whether it was directly on Iso Plays or just in general on podcasts, people don't appreciate the mental capability of NBA players. Whether even it's like J.R. Smith, who makes a boneheaded move or whatever. Like Brian Scalabrine, it's not cap when he says, I'm closer to LeBron James than you are to me. And that is so fucking true. Because people don't realize, like, when you play in a game of basketball, when you're on the NBA level, you're analyzing a guy every single time it comes down to, like, oh, is he dribbling more on his left side or on his right side? Does he lean for a crossover here? Does he prefer a shot over in this direction? And it's something that might take the average man a couple plays to figure out. In the NBA, you either already have that pre-scouted and you already fucking know, or within like 3 or 4 shots, you know the tendency of that player or how they're feeling. And it's something that, like, the average man, I don't feel can really pick up on. Which also brings me to, and I'm going to give you all a little education right now. No, I'm not going to go too in depth because it's something I even recently just really started to get in tune with. Is the crazy ass fucking play calling that comes with the NBA. Because a lot of it, so back in the old school kind of shit, they would do a lot of shit like triangle offense. And so to give me just a very rudimentary, very brief breakdown of that, a lot of that, so the core comes down to it, is literally in the name. You have the ball player, you have a wing player, and usually a post player. And your goal is to literally make a triangle between those 3. You then have the other 2, they're either spacing out, you either have them completely on the 3, or maybe one guy on the 3 and another guy cutting, trying to go to the dunker spot. And then from there, you just orchestrate whatever naturally happens. You know, you set a pick, some guy comes around, he gets open, he ISOs, you feed in the guy in the post. If someone, draws in, you pass it out. And all of that worked back in the day. But nowadays, it seems you go to just the general play call. And I'm not going to go into too much deep, analytics or whatever, but I'll give you guys some brief shit if you didn't really realize. So one of the common sort of offenses, plays that they set is horns. And so how horns works is literally how the name sounds. So you'll have the point guard, and then you have 2 guys usually up in the high post. It's usually the big men, like a power forward, a center. And then your 2 wings out, on the corner 3s. And from there, you can set a myriad of plays. You could have the point guard getting a screen from the power forward to the center, either going to the basket or setting up an alley-oop. And then you have back court guys. So maybe you have the wing guy setting a backcourt screen. You have the power forward going out, another guy cutting in. There's just a myriad of shit that could happen with that. Or you have a 5-out, which is where you have the point guard coming up, and then you have all 4 guys stationed basically in a line. So you'll have either it could be the wings or the centers. They're on the 2 inside, on the outside. And then what's great about that is if everything lines up, you have a guy who can cut to the backcourt, and either he's going to be open or someone's chasing him, and then you run play calls off of that. And that's something I just love about the NBA that I'm sure it happens in a lot of other sports, but I love how there's just such individual, where then even on the flip side, you can just say, fuck all that, I'm running an ISO. And basically at that point, you just have everyone spreading the court out as far as you can. You got the center in the corner, power forward in the corner, the wings on the corner, point guard, or even if you pass it off to a wing, it's usually not a power forward or center, let's be real. And then everyone just spreads it out, and then he just goes to work on his guy. If he beats him, someone comes over to cover, pass that guy, and then it just creates more and more opportunities. And it's just something I love. It's such a beautiful art, and it's one of those things like that I appreciated that not a lot of people recognize when they're in school, but it makes way more sense in real life. There's more than one way to solve a fucking problem. And you see that so much in basketball, where you can dice someone up one-on-one, or you can discombobulate the defense where they're running from corner to corner before they leave someone open. Like, there is just so many opportunities in basketball. And I just love it because you really never know where it's going to come from. I feel in a lot of sports, especially like football and whatnot, the highlight plays come from the quarterback, the running back, the wide receiver casts a crazy pass. No, basketball, it can go from any position at any time, and you have no fucking clue who it's going to be or when it's going to happen. And it's such just a beautiful thing. And that's a huge reason why I love basketball. And so one of the last things that I just love about the NBA is just the straight unpredictability. And of course, you know, in more recent seasons, we've just had so much weird anomalies happen that we just become used to it. But I feel we always just have these players or just teams in general who just come out and astound us. And it's something we never would expect. And there are certain teams I'm really excited for that I'm not expecting a lot. But if they do more than I expected, I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. And it's something that I just love. Like, I feel, even though I was hating on the Bulls for the longest, I don't know. Again, we're just looking at the preseason. But dude, Lonzo, he's way more of a baller than I ever appreciated. I still think overall LaMelo is going to be better than him. But Lonzo's going to be a perennial all-star. All-star. I firmly believe that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But from what I've seen, he has that vision and he has that athleticism. And the thing I appreciate about him the most is his game has evolved every year. Maybe not to the degree that was expected of him or was hyped up, but that was also unfair just because of like the LeVar Ball media and everything that went on with that. Like, it was just very silly and whatnot. And then being on the Lakers, like, I feel there was just too high of expectations. I think he's going to be great. I think Brandon Ingram, he might take another step out. He's going to ball out. I've already mentioned it before. Dennis Schroeder, he's going to have a great fucking redemption year. There are just so many beautiful fucking storylines that are going to happen that were highly unexpected. And yeah, there's going to be some disappointments, and we're going to deal with those. Those are also going to be entertaining. I'm letting y'all know now. And as I end this video, my hot take, Lakers aren't going to be a top 4 seed in the West. They'll make the playoffs, but they're going to be in the bottom 8. Iso plays takes. Love y'all. Good day, gang. Bazooka Shack. I'm out.